Good morning, everybody. So my jars of blueberry jam sealed really well and they look fantastic. No issues with any seals here, so I told you guys I'd show you that in the morning. But now let's move on to what the next task is. So let's make some blueberry muffins. Alright, so we're going to start with actually whisking together the wet ingredients, and then we will go into adding the dry ingredients. So I've got 3/4 cup of melted butter. Technically my recipe calls for 1/2 cup, and it also only calls for 2 cups of blueberries, so I'm not going to fully double that recipe. I'm just going to quarter it up a little bit, because I've got more blueberries than what the recipe calls for, and I don't want the blueberries or the muffins to be too heavy in blueberries to where there's not enough of the actual muffin in between. So we've got our 3/4 cup of melted butter. We're going to put in about a 3/4 cup of milk. And I'm going to be crazy. I'm just going to use the same measuring cup for the whole thing because, well, it's all going into the same place anyways. Alright, so about a 3/4 cup of milk. And then we're going to put in 2 eggs. I have farm fresh eggs, so I'm going to put those in. I raised my own chickens. And if you're a chicken owner and you don't do this already, save your eggshells and give them back to your chickens. Gives them some great extra protein. Alright, now technically this recipe calls for vanilla extract, but I am out of vanilla extract. So I'm going to do something a little bit crazier. And we're actually going to add about a teaspoon of maple syrup. So you're just going to give a little bit of a squirt in there. Alright, and that should add a little extra flavor. And then we're going to go ahead and whisk this up real quick, and then we'll start adding the dry ingredients. So I'm just going to use this one for now, and then I'm going to put on a different attachment. I don't always like to use the whisk attachment on my mixer. I don't know if anybody else seems to have this problem, but it always seems like when I use the whisk attachment on my mixer, it never actually goes all the way to the bottom. Does anybody else ever have that problem? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Okay, but so after whisking all of the ingredients together, oh, let me flip the camera around the spot. Alright, so that's what it's going to look like after you whisk the milk and the butter and the eggs and the syrup and or vanilla extract together. Alright, so we're going to whisk that up real good. And then we're going to start working towards the dry ingredients. Okay, so we're going to need to put in about 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I got these containers from Walmart yesterday because I get really big batches. You know, I get really big bags of flour and sugar, and I'm sick of just having them all sit in the bags all the time, in the containers. Always wondering if I'm going to get through them fast enough. So if you don't already do this, I do highly recommend that when you buy this stuff, you do store it in separate containers than the original bag that you buy it in. Alright, so this is a 1.5 cup measuring cup, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do just 2 of these to bring it up to 3. Okay, so we got the flour added in. Alright, and then we're going to need about 1.5 cups of sugar as well. Because like I said, I'm quartering this recipe up, but I'm not fully doubling it. So we're going to do 1.5 cups of sugar. As such, I'm going to add that in. All right, and then we're also going to need a couple teaspoons of baking powder.
I can do that.
You can.
Mhm.
Are you Mama's big helper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need this. And you need this.
Okay, hold on.
See ya.
Nope, I already put some of that in.
Okay.
Okay. Will you pour that one in there for me? Good job. All right.
Mom, so
And will you
big.
pour that one in there for me too? Awesome. Good job. All right, so there's our couple teaspoons of baking powder. And then we're also going to need to add about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. Now when it comes to this stuff, so my husband, you know, has to be on a low sodium diet. I'm very picky on the salt that I use. So I will either go to Woodman's over in Eau Claire and I will get the sodium-free salt. Otherwise, when I go to Aldi's in Rice Lake, I just go ahead and get the pink Himalayan salt. This is also much better for you as well. So I just do a couple twists right in. It's probably roughly half a teaspoon, maybe closer to a teaspoon, which is acceptable considering we're quartering up the recipe anyway, so it's fine. See, she agrees. 4-year-old knows it all. All right. Now for mixing the dry ingredients with the wet ones, I'm actually going to use this paddle attachment for my mixer today. So let's go ahead and get that turned on. All right, Gemma, can you reach over there and turn it to 1 for me? Good job. No, honey, that's just number 1. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start mixing this up a little bit at a time here. And we're going to wait to fold in the blueberries until we get this more mixed. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more milk here because it is looking drier than I want it to, but I did quarter up that recipe a little bit, so I'm just going to pour this one in my time.
Can we pour it?
I will let you pour in the blueberries. So I'm just going to add a smidge of milk. Make this a little bit more wet, not quite so tacky. You know, and essentially when you're making muffins, you know, or any other baked goods for that matter, you want to make sure that everything's at the right consistency for what you're looking for. Sometimes that can mean just adding in a little bit extra even when you weren't quite planning on it. Let's see. Okay. All right, Mama needs to move though, baby. Okay, so now this batter's looking really, really good. Hold on, Gemma. Alright, so I'll show you what I'm looking at here. Alright, so here's our muffin batter. Now we're going to go ahead and start slowly folding in the blueberries.
Yummy.
Yep, hold the bowl for me, baby. No, you can't grab it by... Oh, see, that's what we don't want to happen. There we go. So now we're going to start folding these in. And that is the rest of our blueberries right there. I made 6 half pints of blueberry jam last night. And I'm thinking I'm going to end up going blueberry picking here again within the next week or so. So I should be able to make even more at that point. Alright, so while this is mixing, let's start getting ready. So when you're making these muffins, you want your oven preheated to 400 degrees. I did not do that part yet, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, now I don't remember. I should have prepared myself a little bit more for this. So I'll be right back with you guys. I gotta go find me some little muffin tins. Okay, so before you start distributing your muffins into your pan, You do want to go ahead and put these little muffin cups in all of the holes of your muffin pan to help prevent them from sticking. So I'm going to do that now. And then I'm going to bring this phone a little bit down to a different level here so that way you guys can see me distribute it in. I know, baby.
I do one.
Just let that be for right now, okay?
What? I want to do one.
I know you do, but just let it be for right now, okay? All right, let's see if we can get this in place so you guys can see a little better. Okay, see, so I've got all of these sitting in here. So now we're going to go ahead and start distributing the muffin mix into the cups. Alrighty, so let's start getting it all distributed in, shall we?
Yeah. Shall we? Yeah. I want to help.
I know, honey, but I can't have you do this part.
I want to help with these.
Okay, well, if we need the other pan, then maybe. But for right now, I need you to wait, okay? Can you do that for Mom? Okay. Alright, so we're just getting all of these distributed in. If you've had your muffin cups for a long time like I have, and they're more flared, then you want to make sure that you are trying to drop the batter in kind of slowly, because otherwise it's going to start sitting in the muffin pan here at a really weird angle. You'll also probably need to go through and wipe off some of the stuff off the edges here, especially if you didn't grease the edges of the pan, which I did not. You know, and that'll help prevent some of the muffins from sticking to the edges too. But essentially, that is how you get muffin mix going. And I will show you guys the end results when I'm done baking it.